best fit for Caroline out of all?
I say this a lot, but I love, again, I love television and I love any kind of slow burn relationship. So, you know, I'm that Pacey and Joey kind of,
Oh yeah.
you got to wait a couple seasons to get the payoff. So I really liked, you know, earlier on they said like Caroline and Stefan was a potential like relationship end game. And so, which was we were like, oh, it was always just strange, you know, because it's like we all got to know each other so well as actors. So we're like, oh gosh, it's going to get weird. We're going to have to, we were all brothers and sisters being like, oh. But I did love the way that the writers wrote that storyline and just like really kind of carried the viewers with it and let the viewers kind of slowly start to discover it as well. I mean, the bizarre intersection of social media and then also the show kind of hitting peak popularity was a really fascinating thing to watch because the writers got to see in real time what was working and what wasn't working. Like Caroline and this is embarrassing. Klaus, yes, Klaus. Caroline and Klaus weren't ever meant to be like a thing. It was really just like a moment that it was a scene that was written within the series, and that because there was always this hashtag and like the viewers of the show were kind of pushing that how much that they enjoyed it, the writers got to have so much fun kind of plugging in all these scenes throughout it, which was just a really cool thing to be able to jump on your phone and then just see like, wow, they really responded to this. I guess I'm going to be working with so-and-so a lot more. It's kind of like this modern day of choose your own adventure. I mean, of course the writers were, you know, steering the ship, but they definitely would kind of pay attention to what was going on in the Twitterverse.
That's amazing. That's so cool that like fans indirectly kind of had a say sometimes in what would be happening on the show and could inspire that. Yeah, Klaus, I had a lot of comments. People were very torn on you and Klaus. And like, they either were so pro you guys, like, yes, we want it, or there were other people who were like, yeah, we want it with somebody else. But were you shocked at that development and that relationship? And what did you think of all of that playing it out?
I still am. I mean, again, the show started, it aired 12 years ago, and I can't believe that we're even sitting down having this conversation. I mean, when I was younger, it was watching a show and that was it. Like if you watched the show, you caught the series, unless someone told you to go and buy the box set of DVDs, you probably weren't going to see it again, unless you kind of hunted it down. Whereas nowadays, a show kind of lives on forever in this streaming world, and especially compounded with, you know, with everyone staying home due to the pandemic, everyone's been catching up on TV. So the fact that there's still like this influx of like Caroline and Klaus, I'm just like, I still, all these years later, I'm like, I guess people liked it. I still never understood it. Joseph and I were both like, okay. We get this question a lot. I guess people like it.
Yeah, I know. Those were some really fun scenes for viewers to watch, and very unexpected, and kind of like the cat and mouse chase of it all was, I think, fun.
Yeah, I think it's like the old world and new worlds. You know, I think it's very, like, that's kind of where a character like Caroline is really fun in this environment where it's these like old world vampires who are so wise, and she's just constantly sticking her foot in her mouth. And so there's a charm to that banter, I think, in characters relating to each other in that way. And so so I see where it worked out so well. It was like that, a fun, like unexpected grouping of characters.
Now, what would excite you the most when it came to playing Caroline? Like, what were the types of scenes you would be like, ooh, yeah, I can't wait to dig into that? Like, what really pumped you up throughout those years when you knew it was coming?
Oh, it's such a double-edged sword, because I would love to say stunts. But then usually stunts were done at nighttime, and which would mean like that I'd be working at like 3 or 4 in the morning on a Friday. So I'd be like, oh man. But the stunts were always so cool. I remember maybe in like a season 3-ish, that we did a scene where Claire and I, who played Rebecca, were in a car, and it actually had to like roll over, and they had this whole car rigged up so we're like literally like on this wild flipping car ride. Yeah, it's just like you kind of go to work and you're like, who thought that this is what I'd be doing today? Or recently someone was asking about wolves, and you know, we had real life wolves on set, which is very terrifying, incredibly terrifying. When you just show up to like work and you're just hearing like, oh, and like calling each other in the background, and you're like, oh.
Oh my gosh. So
yeah.
No stunt woman for you.
No, I mean, there would be protection, but there's still wolves, and everyone's like, you're kind of behind like a prop jail, and like a wolf is like barking at you, and you're like, they're like, okay, so we're gonna on action just be really scared, and I was like, yep, we can just roll, you can just keep it going. Right. I'm already terrified. Maybe a pair of Depends, maybe that could be worked into this. Because this is terrifying.
Oh my God, that's wild. That's wild. I didn't expect wolves to be your scene partners, but you've had many partners throughout the course of this series. And I know you must love so many different things about working with different people, but who was one scene partner you would always be really psyched to film with?
Michael Trevino and I always had, it's always fun to work with everyone. We had a blast. We were very much brother and sister from day one, and just like, I don't know, just like got each other. And so when our characters were working a lot together, it was just an immediate comfort where, there were a lot of very personal scenes. It's like him transitioning into a werewolf. And so it was nice to be able to show up to work and be able to immediately be comfortable within his part of vulnerability. Like he'd have to be, slightly undressed and I'd always be like, I got chocolate chip cookies waiting for you in your room. Like, we were all just one big family. So it was always fun to be able to go to work and see familiar faces.
Well, and in the beginning, you two had a lot of scenes together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of intimate scenes as well. So you had to get comfortable.
Oh, it's still so weird to think. Like, I just remember when they were like, so, yep, you guys are the next couple. Like, we're going to have your characters together next season. We both just looked at each other and we're like, oh, God, it's going to be so weird. And it was, and we'd just be like, okay, we're just going to get over with really fast. And yeah, it's a very bizarre experience, but it's, all in a day.
Yeah, and it helps when you're friends to do those together. Now you look back and laugh at it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, no, we were laughing even during it. There was a lot of pranking going on. It's like you got to keep it fun and silly.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now your character went through so much. It's hard to imagine what else she could have gone through. But were there any things specifically you had hoped Caroline would get to do throughout the course of the show that you didn't have the chance to, where you thought, man, that would have been cool?
Man, I gotta say, I feel like I got to do a lot of the stuff. She got to be really mean. She, with like, there was a chapter in which, her humanity was turned off. So that was really fun. I'm really grateful I never had to do like witch spells, because that just would have been very complicated. She got to have like love and loss and wear dresses and I don't know, and stuns. So that was the fun thing, is like, I really feel like she had such a incredible evolution throughout the series, and I just got to be, the joyful passenger in that.
Yeah. You lived a very kind of rich life, I feel like, as an actor playing this role, because you did get to experience so much.
Yeah, she was really fun. It was a really fun experience, for sure.
Now, I know a lot of people in the past have asked favorite scenes for Caroline, but I want to kind of twist it a little and ask, the big epic group scenes must have been class, right? Like between the parties and obviously not everyone in the cast would be in every scene, but the more ensemble scenes for you, what was one or two that sticks out as just a total blast?
Again, this is like the double-edged sword, because it'd be like, yay, we all get to hang out and it's fun and it's like everyone gets to catch up. But then at the same time, usually when you'd have those big party scenes, it would mean that there was like a dance element to it, which would not be very fun, because it's like no one feels cool. Like no one's like, it's like, especially if you watch the show, there's these like, I just remember this dance where you had to like, you don't touch hands, but you like rotate around each other, and you have to be like serious and romantic, and you just felt like big dum-dums, you know, and it's like 100 degrees outside and everyone smells, you know, we all smell because we're sweating, and we're having to, with the dum-dum face, having to be all serious with the no hand touching.
Yeah.
You know, and you just feel really silly. So on one hand, yes, it would be very fun to hang out, but then it'd always be like, oh gosh, we're all just gonna feel really silly for a little while.
Who would be the person to start laughing first, to break out of character?
Oh, definitely Paul would always be the one laughing. If the camera wasn't on him, he would always be trying to break like anyone else. He would always be like laughing.
Oh, well, like you were filming, he'd be laughing.
Yeah. But if he's on it, no. But like if it's everyone else, yes, it was very hard. Yeah.
That's wild. And you're right. You forget you filmed in Georgia, and it was hot during those scenes.
Very, very hot. Yes, it was very sweaty because we always, I mean, and at a certain point it would get really, really cold. So we had a very seasonal, you know, Atlanta and Georgia in general is a very seasonal place to be. But we'd always kick off at the start of each Vampire Diaries season was fall in Mystic Falls, but it was like the middle of summer in Atlanta. So it was just very, very sweaty, and like leather and boots and jackets and jeans. I mean, yeah, if you think like it's a very specific style that everyone had, which was just jeans, jackets, and leather boots. So it was very hot. Yeah.
Oh my God. The work you guys put in. I mean, it's no joke. It's no joke. And, you know, the fans, they love this show so much. It means so much to so many people. And like you said, it has this legacy because of streaming now, where people can watch it and rewatch it, and people who couldn't see it when it was airing in real time. You know, like I never watched it in real time because I was so delayed. Like I missed the first few seasons, and then I thought, well, I can't watch it because I won't know what's going on. So I never had that opportunity then. But in COVID, my husband and I were like, we're doing it. We're watching the whole show from start to finish. And it has this legacy now that lives on forever, that people just have fallen in love with. So as a cast member on the show, what did you fall in love with, you know, with the Vampire Diaries? What made you want to be a part of it for so many years?
Just the sense of community. I've talked about it a lot with Phoebe Tonkin, actually. I know that she went on to work on the originals,